Welcome, everybody. Today we have an exciting webinar on integrating test management and how that accelerates in a continuous delivery environment. Two speakers today. I'd like to welcome Peter Baker, who is a senior software engineer from Vector Software and is very well-versed in the integration with Polarian requirements management and ALM with VectorCast. As well as myself, Reg Struck. I'm a senior product manager at Polarian. Today's topics will discuss integrating test management, followed by a demonstration of the integration between VectorCast and Polarian, and then some nice resources that you can take advantage of afterwards based on our webinar. So I'd like to start with is talking about a unified solution. This diagram, which is used quite intimately with Polarian, represents the strategic solution that QA provides for our users. And if you look at the circle in the middle, it's our Polarian QA, represents our Polarian QA platform. And what this is a central hub that manages all the associated processes, software tools, and results that are involved in the testing process. So if we look at concentric circles, we have requirements, we have test management, we have issues, defect tracking, DevOps, continuous delivery, test automation. We look to actually manage all those within our system model. We'll start with test automation, which has become very popular and is at the forefront of testing in today's environment. So, when do you actually want to incorporate test automation, and when should it be deployed? Best practices that we've experienced is when tests can be repeated. Other examples are low-hanging fruit where source code is modified. If you have variance management with various configurations, so obviously when you have multiple OSs, platforms, hardware configurations, definitely a candidate for test automation. Performance testing, again repetitive, security testing, and web-based testing. Some of the good practices that our customers and our professional services have experienced. Always great to design your test before actually implementing a testing framework. Using your test management solution to actually create those test cases. Why do we do this? Well, it helps identify defects, and hopefully by identifying those defects early before you've implemented the framework, it'll improve the overall test automation framework implementation. Second is that you really want to start running those tests as early as possible in the dev cycle. And really what it means is you run it as often as possible. Why do you want to do this as well? We found in our experience is that finding more defects while synchronizing with your test management platform automatically updates your test cases, creates defects on the fly, and allows your developers to fix this in real time. And your real key objective in a continuous delivery environment is you should be actually running this automation all the time. Run frequently and run often. What do we mean by it? Is that we want to actually have feedback. You know the definition of continuous delivery and continuous testing is that in theory you want to be able to deliver software that's production level ready at any given time within your process. So, we have two key methods that we implement in the solution for Polarian. First is that like we have with VectorCast, is a direct integration that is a plugin with bidirectional sharing of information between both software solutions. So what do we mean by that? What we can do is we can actually synchronize various artifacts between the corresponding products. So, for example, we won't go into great detail because Peter will show this in the demonstration, is that we can actually synchronize the test cases in VectorCast, including the results, with the requirements, which are our work items that are popularly used within Polarian, and share that bidirectionally. And a second most common method is the method of implementing continuous delivery. So how we do this is that we can set up continuous integration strategy, which I'll discuss in a little bit more detail as we move forward, that allows you to actually provide a solution that allows the results to be populated in Polarian. So this is a schematic of the integration between Polarian and ALM. So we have the requirements that are actually from Polarian that are actually synchronized with VectorCast. VectorCast runs test cases. The results are imported back into Polarian. Now let's talk about continuous delivery. So there's a few components that we should talk about. So one is that continuous delivery, really what it is that you are able to deploy, or at least in theory, production-level software through the entire development lifecycle. So if you look at the diagram that's here, is that you can, from the actual code implementation to the integration of test, doing the regressive testing as well, final results, and then doing a build equals that you should have production-level software at any given time. Some of the things that you should keep in mind, though, is that you want to actually be able to link these different processes. And what we mean by linking is things like being able to collaborate throughout the entire process, whether it's using SMS or email. Also, you want to be able to have the ability to, through those emails, is link the results. So, for example, if I have a continuous build, defects are automatically generated using something like Vector, and those actually have to be able to link to both the test cases and ultimately the requirements and the source control. So that way, the developers, once a defect is created, they can actually access a particular source control that needs to be either updated, and then once it's updated, the link gets back, synchronized back to the test case, and ultimately to the end user, the requirements. And hopefully that improves the overall process between deployment and development and all the way to the production level. Also, with using continuous delivery, you should be able to compile on a continuous basis, meaning that you can do continuous builds, which can be scheduled. And again, it comes back to that being able to identify defects in a timely fashion. And the end result is that again, tracking down those issues. And then from a regulatory standpoint, is a complete audit trail of what occurred from the time the defects generated to when the code is actually addressed and just fixed and checked in, and if the requirements either met or needs to be updated. So how does it work with test automation? Well, as I mentioned, is that there are two methods of actually doing integration with our Polarian QA solution. And what it comes down to is you would want to invoke, easily invoke actually, I must mention, a continuous integration engine such as Jenkins or Maven, Ant, etc. Some commercial ones as well, like Cloud OpenMake, that will actually launch the information that needs to be actually executed in your test automation server, and then schedules capturing the results, and then XML executing the work results. Achieving continuous integration in the testing environment is really what you want to do is have continuous testing. And what do we mean by that? Is that we actually want to automate the test execution. So if you're using UI, you should be able to find more defects by automating some of the, as I mentioned in the previous slide, some of the processes that is implemented into your build process. And then takes actually the idea that you're actually doing builds that are self-testing themselves. So what you're doing is you're actually automating the testing process using test automation, automatically creating production defects that can be easily fixed on a regular basis. And then you want to actually leverage the integrations again using the particular continuous integrations I mentioned, and repeat the process often over and over. So how do you do it effectively? What you have to do is you have to leverage using your continuous integration. And when you do that is you want to actually build often, test those builds, and test as soon as possible. So if you look at the diagram on the right, it's basically you want to basically test, deploy, build. Test, deploy, build, and do it on a repeated process based on your schedule. Okay, so in summary, so now we come back to that central test management, the glue that actually holds everything together within the entire testing process. Some of the things that we need to look at, and I'll recap as well as add some additional based on our user experience, is the fact that you want to be able to easily import your test cases or create your test cases within your test management solution. So you want to be able to import, for example, from Microsoft Excel or other tools, and then you want to be able to link those to your test requirements. So obviously validation of what you're trying to actually build gets tested correctly. Second is that you want to be able to integrate, or you should be able to integrate with your test automation solution as well, which is usually invoked using some kind of continuous the reason for that is that we want to be able to run those builds and run them frequently, but also be able to import the results from those builds if they're external to your test management solution, and easily manage it in all of the functionality and features of a proper test management application. And then, of course, you have to have the ability to be able to synchronize with the external components. So, for example, if you're using test automation, such as Vector, we talked about that example where you actually want to be able to invoke the execution of that system in VectorCast, but also you want to be able to take the results of test automation from those test cases and easily synchronize it with both your test cases, if there's any associated defects that get created, and as well map it back to the requirements, allowing you to have complete traceability, specifically not only for development, but also for any regulatory issues. And then finally, some additional added value is having things like automated reporting and assignments. So the ability to view issues and task reports based on what went wrong. So things like linking, having that synchronization into your other components and processes. Also being able to automate workflow. So things like having rules-based where you can actually, if a defect occurs, who gets notified, what should happen? Is there an approval process? How does it get escalated? All those things need to be automated in a good test automation system. And then last but not least, is having things like reporting, having it on the fly, having it web-based, having the ability to actually respond quickly and also readily available to look in to links anywhere, anytime. And complementing our platform is the ability to have complete extensibility into not only just other software tools, but also all those great open source and standard systems out there, such in platforms, Java APIs, web services, XML, so on and so forth. Learn offers that and much more. Now I'm going to hand this over to Peter, who's actually going to do a demonstration of the VectorCast integration and synchronization with Polarium. Peter, welcome.
Hello, my name is Pete Baker. I'm a software developer at VectorCast, and I'm responsible for the Polarium VectorCast requirements gateway integration, which, as Rex has already mentioned, is an integration which allows you to accelerate, optimize your test and development time by providing a real-time bi-directional link between your Polarium requirements and your VectorCast test case. There is also the ability to engage in continuous testing, continuous integration through VectorCast Manage. But what I'm going to focus, for the purpose of this short demo, I'm going to focus on the manual side of linking Polarium requirements to VectorCast test cases and, like we're saying, the bi-directional sending the test case results back to Polarium and thus validating the requirements. So just a very quick overview. You can find out more about this on our website. The VectorCast Polarium integration uses the SOAP API to talk to the Polarium web service using the ALM demo website. We have our own project, which, as you can see, has a series of requirements which are pertinent to, if any of you have tried any of the VectorCast demos that come with the products, you'll know that there is a restaurant manager demo which we have, which we have used to demonstrate the products. And these are a set of requirements for that demo. So I'm just going to connect with the web service. So as you can see here, we have about 15, 16 requirements. So what we first need to do, we've already created a project for the restaurant manager with an environment, a VectorCast environment for the restaurant manager, and I'm going to create a test case here. And as you can see, there are currently no requirements important to VectorCast, so we need to correct the situation. We'll start with the requirements gateway. We have the ALM demo, Polarium server, the authentication details, and the project ID, which is the same as the one here on the web server. So I'm going to open integration, and this brings back to customized work item types and attributes, which you're then going to use. So via the import screen, you can see here the work item types, which we customized them on this project, I believe. So we want to bring in, these are not the defaults, we need to bring in work item type requirements, and you can define your query, or this query string here, and we're just going to keep it as default. And we link the requirements field, type of field to the text class title, and the requirement description to the text class description. And then we're going to import. So as you can see, the scope of site connection pull down 16 requirements, which we can now see in the view screen. So these are the DCP2 statistics. You can see the same here. So now we're going to create this test case, but we're going to do it with the requirements that are pertinent to the test case. So you can see this list here again contains the requirements we've just pulled in. We want all the requirements. So we're going to try and validate. I don't think we can validate all of these requirements, but we'll do some of them so we can test placing an order occupies updates the occupied status of the table. Placing an order updates the number in the party. Let's do placing an order updates the check total. So this test, once run, will validate these three requirements, 60, 61, and 63. And you can see here, if you hover over the requirements, it gives you more details as to what that requirement is. So what we're going to do, we're going to place an order. We're going to ignore the rest of these and just choose the entree. We're going to do order chicken. And as you can see here, placing an order updates the check total. You can see that chicken will add 10 to the check total, $10. So what we can now do is a call to update table records. So this place order method will call update table records at the end, and what we can do is we can intercept this with a stub by function and check the values as it passes them in. So we have two requirements. We can say placing an order updates the occupied status. So we have is occupied, select this just drop down. So that should now be true. Updates the number of party, which is say 1. And updates the check total. The check total should now be 10. Which is the same as if you look at this case very briefly. You can see there's a calculation which happens here. So now we're going to run this test case by pressing F5, and you can see that it is passed all three of our conditions here. Table is now occupied with one party, and check total is 10. Now we have this result, but what we need to do now is send it back to Polarium via the requirements gateway. So we return to the integrated tools requirements gateway here and click the export tab. And we need to give this Polarium test run ID. So we're going to call it test run 01. And we need to correct the test cases. Again, these are the customizable work item types. We want to correct test cases as test case and Polarium type test case. And we want to export test case name to select a work item attribute, which is title. And what this cast then does is it takes because we've selected prefend environment as test case name, it will correct test case work items as type test case and Polarium with the name Polarium demo 1 dot placeholder. So we're going to export. So this is finished exporting. Now we can return to the web server and refresh my login. You can see it's created a test case of name Polarium demo 1 placeholder 001, and you can see from the link here that it is linked to the three requirements that we brought in previously. And you can see if you scroll down, you can see test case pass test run 01, and this is the requirements we previously linked to. That's the end of the demo.
Great. Thank you very much, Peter. Hopefully everyone got at least a preview of the integrations and how we synchronize test cases and requirements between both products. As I mentioned, is that we're going to wrap things up. There are a few things that you might want to take a look at. We encourage you to visit both our websites. There's also at the Polarium website a 30-day trial. It's viewable online with full functionality. So don't hesitate if you want to look at our product to let you do that as well. As I mentioned before, is that we have some information about the plugins and extensions, not just Vector, but other extensions, over 200 plus, that I encourage you to visit at extensionspolarium.com. And if you'd like to know more, in particular in reference to Vector software and VectorCast, there's a great detailed information on how to connect testing with software requirements and test cases at Vector. Again, thank you, Peter, very much for today. We hope everyone got at least one great tidbit of information out of this. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.